Hey everybody, Tommy Martin here from Indiana Avenue Baptist Church, continuing our walk through Nehemiah, looking at lessons on leadership, dealing with chapter 5 of the book of Nehemiah tonight. They've got some problems. They've got problems with fairness, so we're going to talk about this. Now, last week, they dealt with external complaints. This week, it's internal complaints. So in the middle of this wonderful project, which not only dealt with a lack of a wall, but also was an encouragement to the people because their faith in God was being restored. In the middle of all that, we get a pause in the narrative so Nehemiah can deal with some internal complaints. So what's going on? Well, in verses 1 through 5, we get a list of complaints some of the Jews are making against their fellow Jews. And their complaints is that in order to get enough food to feed their families, they've had to do three specific things. They've had to mortgage their fields and vineyards and homes. They've had to borrow money to pay the king's tax on their property. And this is a real tragedy. They've had to sell their sons and daughters into slavery to their fellow Jews to get some money, and we can't buy them back, they're saying, because our property is already mortgaged. So let's see how Nehemiah responded. We get his response starting in verse 6 of chapter 5. It says this, "When I heard their outcry and these charges, I was very angry. I pondered them in my mind and then accused the nobles and officials." So his first response is very natural. It's angry. He's caught this vision of rebuilding a wall around Jerusalem. He's asked the king for time away from his job. He's asked the king for resources to use on the wall. Then he came to Jerusalem. He's asked the Jews to join him in rebuilding the wall. Now he finds out that some of the Jews are dealing very harshly with other Jews, even to the point of taking their children as slaves. This probably didn't help much with the spirit of camaraderie among all these wall builders, right? But look at what he does next. He ponders. He thought about the charges the people had brought against their fellow Jews. Now, how great would it be if every time after we got angry about something, we thought about it instead of speaking about it? How great would it be if we first spent some time pondering before responding? Yes, that rhymes intentional. Hope you like it. We need to ponder before we respond. And Nehemiah does this. And after he ponders, then he calls a meeting. And in this meeting, he brings these charges before the nobles and officials. And he says to them, "What you are doing is not right." And he reminds them that he's been working to buy back Jews that have been sold as slaves. He says, "You're selling them and we are buying them back so that they can be free." He says two things: give them back their fields, stop charging them interest. And the people respond in verse 12, "We will give them back, we will stop charging interest." But then Nehemiah goes a step further. He has the priest come to the meeting, and he asks the nobles and officials to take an oath in front of the priest to do what they said they would do. So what can we learn about leadership from all this? Well, I think here's a short list of things I think we can learn. First off, the people you are leading have real problems in their lives, and you probably can't fix all of them, but at least try to fix the ones that are occurring within your organization. They may have problems that are happening elsewhere, and if you can help with them, help with those problems as well, but at least try to fix the problems happening in your own organization, because the people you are leading have real problems. The second thing is fairness can be caught and taught. If you treat people fairly, they will tend to treat you fairly and each other in the organization fairly and the organization itself fairly. Explain your reasoning, explain your decisions. People will understand when you are being fair and they will appreciate it. Third thing, deal directly with problems. You build trust within your organization when you deal with problems. It always takes effort to deal with problems. Now, Nehemiah could have said to them, I'm too busy building a wall to deal with your problems. Let's finish the wall first, and then we'll see what we can do. Now, you might have heard an answer like that from a leader before. And when we hear that kind of an answer, we pretty much know that nothing's going to be done because he doesn't want to put the effort into it. So deal directly with problems. Number 4, set clear expectations of behavior. Do you think these nobles and officials had any trouble understanding that Nehemiah was unhappy with them? Or do you think they had any trouble understanding what Nehemiah wanted them to do when he called in the priests to hear the nobles and officials swear to do as they had promised? Now, bringing in the priest and making them swear an oath might be a little over the top in most of our situations we find ourselves in, but either way, make sure you set clear expectations. And lastly, ensure that you have moral authority. The nobles and officials could not say to Nehemiah, well, we may deal harshly with our fellow Jews in that we charge them interest or we take their children as slaves, but you demand your allotment of food from them, and you demand the tax that you can charge because you're governor. So we're really no different than you. But they could not say that because Nehemiah reminded them, hey, I'm not collecting the tax that I'm allowed to collect as governor. And I'm not collecting the allotment of food that I'm allowed to collect as governor. And then he says, and moreover, I feed 150 people at every meal beyond my family and troops that I brought. So he could say to the nobles, you look at my example and treat people the way you see me treating people. He had moral authority. So here's the deal. You will have problems in your organization. Think about them, ponder them, pray about them, and then deal with them. Hope you're enjoying these lessons on leadership. We've got just a few more weeks before we wrap it up. God bless you. Love all you guys. See you later.